The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
This is Stu Taylor on Business. Now, Stu Taylor.
All right, welcome. Always a pleasure. And a little bit later on, as we do every third Wednesday of the month, joining us will be Gary Silverman, the managing partner and chief investment officer of Blue Prairie Group. We're going to talk about charitable and philanthropic giving. But let's open up with our gentleman who's becoming familiar to the show. His name is Alex Wilson. He's the chief executive officer of PreciousTimber.com. I always have to slow it down when it comes to the website. PreciousTimber.com. It's a different kind of investment. We're going to continue to talk about it. And I just want the disclaimer in here that Alex is not an investment advisor and is not giving any investment advice. That's important. This investment, like all others, is not for everyone. You make the choice, Alex. So great to have you back.
Hey, good morning, and how are you today?
Hey, listen, I'm doing great, ready to start the, I was going to say the week, but the week's half done already. You talk about biological growth every year, and people think, well, the market, biological growth, it's a different kind of thing. Tell us about Precious Timber, because there are always new listeners, and why don't we hear more about this type of alternative investment?
Yeah, well, timber's been a commodity, Stu, obviously, on the planet, being used ever since, day one. I mean, you go back and look at all of the hand tools and the hunting tools, and all the way through to today, of course, every single person in the U.S., unbeknownst to them, they use the equivalent of one 100-foot tree every year. All of various reasons, of course. There's all of the paper products. Obviously, we have to walk through doors, and we have to walk on floors, and we sit on chairs, and we sleep in beds, and so on and on and on and on and on. But it is a commodity too, and it is an investment asset class too. And the asset class is really one that's remarkably performed over the last 40 years or so, since the U.S. has been tracking the performance of timber. It's had a nice double-digit ROI. It's generally held by wealthy families, wealthy institutions, and institutions. We're in the Central American tropics. We're down on the Costa Rican, Nicaraguan border, so we grow very valuable, very rare, tropical hardwoods, not the softwood like you find here in North America, but the very valuable stuff that grows relatively quickly in growing terms. And it's a nice addition to a portfolio because it keeps everything stabilized.
So when someone invests in this, and we always think it from an eye point of view. I like to know who's handling my money. Try to handle as much of it myself as I can. But when you think about active management, who's taking care of your profits, and how do you get that trust level up?
Yeah, well, of course, you've got to pick your partners. Of course, the way we work with our clients, it's a direct ownership opportunity, if you will, a direct ownership play, meaning they're purchasing either parcels of land that are planted with newly planted reforestation trees. We're in the reforestation business. We're doing a lot of work from a social point of view, a lot of work from an environmental point of view, enhancing the planet's forests and increasing the wildlife corridors, and of course creating great jobs for individuals that are going to maintain and manage those things. So with regards to who's taking care, it's experienced, it's well qualified foresters and their management teams, and you want someone that's knows exactly how to grow a tree properly, because timber's sold in various grades, and you want a tree to be straight, and you want it to have less knots, and you want it to have a lot of density to the lumber. So pick your managers. Of course, that's the same in any investment endeavor. We've been at it a while, so we know what we're doing, and the worldwide marketplace for timber is growing, exponentially.
I want people, and I appreciate the interest, but for purposes of ethics, I want you to direct any questions to Alex Wilson, not to me. That's not my job. you can go to PreciousTimber.com, PreciousTimber.com, and I'll refer you on because this is not what I do. Are there any price trends for tropical hardwood? I know you look at this different than the market. Trees always grow, etc. So, ultimately that you've got a good investment here. But are there any price trends?
Yeah, there are, but not as much as you would be looking at other asset classes or how to calculate whether or not I'm getting in at the right time. You hit it on the nail. I mean, when you plant a sapling, of course, a sapling is tiny. It's not got a lot of value. It doesn't cost a lot of money to plant. Obviously, you need the dirt. But then Mother Nature is the one that's growing our money, unlike, Wall Street grows probably most people's portfolios, but in the timber world, biology is the one that's the catalyst to grow the value. And so with respect to trending in prices, the specialty hardwood side, because of the rarity of it, and there's not very many places on the planet that can grow it at a pretty good tick. I mean, the time frame, sometimes, these things can take 30, 40 years to grow. Where we're doing it, it's less than half that time. So with regard to trends, the prices continually increase because the demand, if you will, on the timber is always there. It's based on the population. We have 7 billion people. There's going to be 8. There's going to be 10. So there's always a big demand for this quality of lumber. So prices generally seem to always go up. We never get a crash. We never get a really big downturn.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but what's the particular range of investments? Because this is for the more affluent investor to consider it. Is there a range? I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we work with accredited investors only. This space is really, as I mentioned, it's for the higher net worth person. It's for the person that wants a legacy. It's for the person that's trying to protect their wealth, capital appreciation, but more on the wealth preservation side. So, it doesn't go to zero. But our parcels can run anywhere from $100,000 starter parcel to any number above that. So it's generally, as I mentioned, it's accredited investors. It's for the high net worth person.
What about recommendations? We've seen the commodities market where it was a kind of a freakish tangential, freakish transitional or hypothetical investment tool for people to use. Now it's pretty standard. And I'm not recommending this for anybody, but maybe 10 to 12% investment on commodities. How much should people invest? And I understand it's a wealthier class, but how much should people invest on their own in order to get in?
Yeah, everybody has a different sort of position there. I mean, I read a lot and I study a lot about this, and I see that those that have been able to amass fortunes, for example. I mean, you take Jeff Bezos, you take John Malone, you take Ted Turner. A lot of those people have as much as 25, 30% of their portfolio in assets like this. Harvard endowment put as much as $10 billion, $3 billion of their $30 billion, so 10% of their portfolio. So it depends on what someone's trying to accomplish. I mean, we work with people on an individual basis. We don't sort of have a one-stop shop where it's one thing for everybody. We personalize it. We tailor it depending upon what someone's trying to accomplish and when they're trying to accomplish it.
The qualifications for investment: here's my check, here's my wire transfer, here's $100,000. Is it that simple?
It can be, but obviously, we want to make sure that we're putting the investor into the right species, something that's going to work absolutely perfectly for them and their timing. Obviously, what I like to do is I like to say, hey, come on, we're working in the tropics, so get on a plane, come down, come meet the whole team, come see how the whole operation operates. But generally, that's it. I mean, if someone's convinced that, hey, this is where I want to protect my money, maybe I've got some kids or some grandkids kids that I'm thinking of, and college educations, and future marriages, and all those things that families have to budget for, then that's a good approach. And obviously, we want to get to know the client. The client needs to get to know us, because we're going to be working with one another for
All
quite
right,
some
the
time.
potential clients out there are going to get to know Alex Wilson very well. The company is PreciousTimber.com. Go up on it. You're not going to go on one of these sites and then click it off. Once you're on the site, you're going to want to stay on it. And Alex, I thank you so much. We're going to see you back here next week.
You got it.
All right, this is Stu Taylor. More